Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for a super special video. So as you probably know, 25th Anniversary Masters is right around the corner, and we are kicking off spoiler season this week, and today I've got a super sweet 25th Anniversary Masters card to show off for you. So I'm going to just show you the card, let you see what it is, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why it is the perfect spoiler card for me. So here you go. Coming back again in 25th Anniversary Masters is Blood Moon. So if you followed me for any length of time, you know I kind of have a love affair with Blood Moon. Me and Blood Moon are tight. I play it all the time. I tweet about it a lot. I even, a couple of years ago, wrote an entire article defending Blood Moon when people were saying it should be banned. So I just love Blood Moon. And the reason why I love Blood Moon is actually really simple. My favorite way of playing Magic is to make sure that my opponents can't play Magic. And Blood Moon is one of the best cards, maybe the best card in Modern for making opponents not play Magic. It's really simple. You just play it as quick as possible and trust that your opponent is not going to be able to cast any spells, and then you can win the game in any number of ways. Not only is Blood Moon one of my favorite cards for actually killing opponents in legitimate like tier decks, it's also one of the secret codes for making jank work. So I mentioned this before on Twitter, but my theory for building against odds decks is you build a deck with no Blood Moons, you play that deck, you lose with that deck. As you lose, you slowly add more and more copies of Blood Moon until you win once in a while, and then you actually have an against the odds deck. So Blood Moon, I'm super excited for personally because I just love Blood Moon. However, Blood Moon isn't just like some personal reprint. It's actually super important to the Modern format, and getting more of them out there in the wild is a super huge deal. So if you look at Modern, Blood Moon is the 20th most played card overall, top 20 in the entire format. And if you just look at rares, it's in the top 10 most played rares in the format. So if you had to pick out the most important reprints to Modern, Blood Moon is still on that list. And the reason it's on the list is there are a ton of different decks that take advantage of Blood Moon. So if you look at the decks that play Blood Moon, the most common strategy is for decks to use Blood Moon as a sideboard option, or kind of like a fringe thing in the main deck. You're talking decks like Affinity, Mardu Pyromancer, Red-Black Hollow One, Giftstorm, Blue-Red Pyromancer. So many decks play Blood Moon as kind of this sideboard plan to fight against Tron, to sometimes pick up free wins against decks that are leaning a little too heavily on non-basics. But there's also decks where Blood Moon is the main reason to play the deck. Blood Moon decks. One of the examples is my personal favorite, Free Win Red, which is basically just an all-in Blood Moon deck. One of the tricks of Blood Moon is playing it on turn 1. Like, once you play Blood Moon on turn 2, turn 3, your opponent technically can crack some fetches, find their basics, kind of minimize Blood Moon's power, but if you could just use Simian Spirit Guides and Rituals to turn 1 of Blood Moon, that locks a lot of people out of the game and makes sure they can't play Magic. And there's some other decks that are looking to do something similar, like Green-Red Ponza is a good example. It can't turn 1 of Blood Moon, but it's probably the most tier all-in Blood Moon deck in the format, and you can play it easily on turn 2 thanks to Birds of Paradise and Arbor Elves, and just lock opponents out of the game. Plus you back that up with land destruction, so if your opponent does sneak some basics through your Blood Moon lock, you use your Molten Rains and Stone Rains and Acid Mosses to blow up the basics. Another option, which has recently kind of come to the forefront with some of the unbannings, is Teamer Moon or Teamer Midrange. You can cascade into Blood Moon using things like Bloodbraid Elf. You have Jace the Mind Sculptor potentially for the deck, also coming back in 25th Anniversary Masters. So not only is Blood Moon a key sideboard card to fighting against decks like Tron or just janking out free wins, but it can also be an all-in build around me and lead to some really successful decks. So I hear you wondering right now, why should you be excited about another Blood Moon reprinting? So Blood Moon has a bunch of original printings, from the Dark to various core sets. Then it was in the first Modern Masters, then it was in Modern Masters 2015. So this is actually the third Master set reprinting in 25th Anniversary Masters. And there's a couple of big reasons for this. So number one, the third reprinting is usually the one that really makes the card accessible accessible. If you look back over the price history of Modern Masters Blood Moon, even after the reprinting, it was like $60, $50, and climbing at some points. Eventually, it got a second reprinting, and Modern Masters 3 dropped down, pretty much stabilized. This third reprinting is going to make Blood Moon really, really accessible. If you look at a card like Tarmogoyf, the first reprinting doesn't necessarily get it done. The second reprinting helps, but doesn't really get it all the way. It's the third reprinting that really makes a card accessible. So we might be living in a world where Blood Moon is a legitimate option for budget players, which is super exciting because there's a lot of decks that would be pretty budget friendly if it wasn't for Blood Moon. We're talking about Scred Red. We're talking about some of the decks we talked about in the past, like the Teamer Moon deck. Some of those decks, Panza, are budget friendly outside of spending a ton of money on Blood Moon. If Blood Moon with this reprinting is actually super accessible and super cheap, it's going to be a huge deal because everyone's going to be able to have access to the card. And normally it's the third reprinting that does that. Secondly, 25th Anniversary Masters is looking like it's going to be very high supply compared to some of the past Modern Master sets. It's going to follow the model of Iconic Masters, where it's going to be available in big box stores like Walmart and Target. But please support your local game store if you can, if you want a place to play Magic. But it's going to be everywhere. And that doesn't even include the fact that it has Jason Mind Sculptor, which is about the chasest of chase cards that you could possibly have in a set at its current price point, at its current demand for Modern. So there's going to be a ton of 25th Anniversary Masters open as people chase Jaces, which means Blood Moon is going to be everywhere. So if you have been waiting to play Freewind Red, to play Panza, to play Teamer Moon, to play Blood Moons in your sideboard, this reprint is a massive deal, even though it's not, oh my god, it's the first time they reprinted it, or oh my god, it's the first time it's in foil. This is still a huge deal for Modern players everywhere. So I guess the bottom line is this. I'm super excited. Blood Moon is making its return in 25th Anniversary Masters, which opens up a ton of my favorite decks for my favorite style of play, which is budget-friendly play, where you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. So this is a massively impactful reprint for everyone who wants to play super sweet Blood Moon decks. Plus, it lets everyone experience the joy of making their opponents not play Magic. So anyway, what do you think? How excited are you for more Blood Moons? What Blood Moon deck do you want to build first now that there's going to be a ton of copies out there? Let me know in the comments. Big thanks to Wizards for this super sweet spoiler. Thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed 25th Anniversary Masters, which is shaping up to be a super spectacular Master set. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.